Hello, developers from Cloudgate Games. My name is Golem Lead, aka Cypher from the Steam discussion page. This video is a bit of a beta feedback towards the most recent beta update. As far as I understand, I believe it is 0.5.1 B as in Bravo in terms of the update that's currently out right now. This is kind of like my little feedback towards the beta, as well as some things and tweaks that I think should be addressed, or at least that I feel like as if could actually make the game a little bit better. So do feel free to let me know what you guys think in the discussion page. I'm going to be having this discussion subscribed, so I'll be able to see notifications in terms of if you guys send me a notice or what have you. To start things off, I did actually toy around with the bow as of recently. I had actually kind of lost track of this after 0.5 came out, and when I picked it up, I decided to go ahead and try out the bow, because when I did my first look, that was my biggest gripe with this game, was the bow was so underpowered. The draw, or the arrow projectile speed, I guess as it's known as, it was such short range. It was I had to be next to the dyno to actually be able to get it. Since then, I've been really toying around with it as well, trying to go ahead and get used to it, and I like the way the bow handles now. It's got a hell of a lot more range, and even then too, after getting the most recent upgrades available for it, I do actually find that it does fly a fair amount longer. Actually quite like the range that it gets. My only other gripe with it now is that when I'm actually drawing an arrow, I actually have to put my hand almost behind my head in order for me to be able to draw it all the way back. I don't know if this is an issue with my sensor setup, but it could be something worth checking out to maybe see if it could be tweaked. I'm including some extra footage on here as well, just kind of showing off Bullets and More, because that one has a similar bow and arrow setup, but it's basically it's knocking and draw distance itself, like for drawing the arrow. It does actually work a little bit better in my opinion itself, and I kind of wouldn't mind seeing a tweak with that, but it's a minor gripe at this point. Honestly, I'm actually happy with the way it handles right now. I just think that having my hand behind my head can get a little bit tiring. And that's kind of my opinion, but you guys can go ahead and take that as you please. Moving on to a couple of other things here that I did have as sort of like feedback to it. The bow and arrow, I understand that there's going to be a couple of additional arrow types, and even then too, some different bows as well that are going to be added in the future, which I must say now, I kind of think that ranging the bow and arrow is a little bit of a problem. It's okay in a certain extent, but it can be a little challenging at times, especially at farther ranges. I'm finding myself having to wait until the targets are less than like 5 or 10 meters away from me before I actually fire the bow. I kind of think that a sight would be handy on the bow, or a laser for like a rangefinder on it, in which case that would actually make it kind of easy, or a little bit easier I should say, to actually range in the targets and be able to hit them from greater distances. Honestly, I'm not exactly the best in the world at using the bow and arrow, so what do I know on that? That I kind of think could be kind of handy, especially for like the what is that, the recursive bow that's currently in the game right now. I think that sort of attachment would be kind of nice to have to help range in targets when it comes to firing it at extreme distances. It works really good as it is right now, but having something to further assist with that would be a plus. You may notice that my footage of Bullets and More, in terms of the knocking or the draw distance for how far you have to pull back the arrow, that sort of sight I kind of wouldn't mind having, because it's got all the ranging set up there. I think it's like 50, 100, 150, 200, 300, and 400 meters. I think that's like the ranging that's also listed there, but I'm not 100% certain. On another side note, while I was actually exploring around some of the maps as well, I was actually looking over the forest area doing a little bit of looting, which you may have seen some footage on early in the video. Some of the Humvees and the trunks, when I first found out about the vehicle looting ability, I didn't realize that the trunks could actually be grabbed onto. There's nothing to highlight it in terms of what's grabbable or what isn't. This would be a little bit of an additional tweak that I think would be kind of nice to have, as this way it helps identify regions that you can actually interact with. Otherwise, though, not very many people would actually know that without actually looking at, like, say, a video or seeing some sort of footage or seeing some sort of illustration of it. Personally, that would be kind of nice to have the ability of seeing, so that way when you've got, like what I have, the grab assist active, you may see that I've got that going. I think that would actually be kind of handy for those of us that require that feature active, like I do. It would be kind of nice to have that as well. I don't know if when you have that off, if it actually has the same sort of outline that appears, but if it doesn't, then I mean that could be something for grab assist right there. On another note too, I did actually toy around with the deagle as well. Not 100% certain if you guys are aware of this, but it does actually look like that the Desert Eagle does not have any sort of animation for, like, the mag coming out, new mag coming in, or even the slide coming back at all on it. This I would recommend trying to go ahead and get updated when possible, but it's a cosmetic thing at this point. As long as the gun at least fires, I'm happy. That's just me, though. Also, I do feel like as if two-handed weaponry is a possible thing in this, aside from the bow. The fact that the bow is in this is also kind of nice as well, but I feel like as if maybe like a hunting rifle or a pump-action shotgun would be kind of nice to have in the game to kind of go ahead and give players a little bit more powerful weapons. Otherwise, though, the bow does actually work good in most instances, and it is actually nice and powerful. But personally, just having something with a little bit more variety would be a bit of a bonus. If I had to say one other thing about this game that I kind of would like more of, it's just a little bit more variety of everything. I understand this game is very early access. I'm not exactly trying to harp on it, but I just kind of wouldn't mind the ability of having, you know, a bit more incentive for having to play this. On top of that, too, the leveling system in the arcade mode, I should actually mention before we actually proceed into the outro, is that just basically the arcade mode, I really do think could benefit from an in-game store for purchasing different kinds of weapons, say like different SMGs or different pistols, you know, various different things like that. The upgrades are all there for all of them, but it makes them kind of pointless outside of while in arcade mode to even have them there. This does also beg the idea of possibly expanding the store to have like upgrades similar to what arcade mode has, just as kind of like another means of being able to upgrade it without having to go into arcade mode. This would be a bit of a bonus, but I kind of suspect that might have already been suggested by another player within the community. But otherwise, though, that is primarily it here for my beta feedback. If I missed anything, or if you guys have any questions about that, do feel free to peg me in the Steam discussion forums. Otherwise, though, that is pretty much it. You guys have a great day.